available to your speakers in 2017. Only on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.
So, we're going to talk about our top 3 controllers. And I think we'll all start with like number 3, then we'll all do 2, then we'll all do 1. Just because controllers are a very important part of video games, and the game sucks if you have a shitty controller. The game can still suck and you have a good controller, but that's beside the point. Controllers are important. And I think everyone has their own little niche for what they want in a controller. So I like hearing what other people love about certain controllers. It's like, I'll start with my number 3. My third favorite controller I've ever used was a little hard for me to pick, because I have like top 2 nailed in, but the third one was like, there's so many good controllers out there. But I think I'll have to go with the Xbox One controller, just because I like the way the analogs have like a rubber feeling around the edge to catch your thumb. I think that's really nice. The triggers feel really good. The D-pad it works. It's much better than the 360 piece of shit D-pad. That alone makes the Xbox One controller better than the 360 controller, at least for me. But I just think the Xbox One is a very versatile, good controller. I thought about maybe saying the PS4, but those shitty rubbers on the analogs are absolute garbage. I hate them, and I don't really have any complaints about the Xbox One controller, where I can usually find at least a minor complaint about most. That's why I choose that as my number 3. How about you, Frankie?
Okay, my number 3 is I'm going to go with the GameCube controller.
And why is that?
The GameCube controller, I love the triggers. I just love the sound, the clickiness. It feels amazing. A lot of great memories with the GameCube controller when I was growing up, playing Smash, Mario Kart, Mario Party, stuff like that. Also, some reason I really like the way the button layout is. It's unique, like the A, the X, Y, and the B.
Yeah, the A is so dominant. That's why I just made a big green button.
Yeah, I like that. It's not great for first-person shooters, but it's good for like platformers, fighting games, other genres, and stuff like that. Yeah.
How about new guy? We're all new guys, actually, but super new guy.
That is very true.
What's your name?
Devon.
There we go.
I'm Devon. My third favorite controller is also the Xbox One, I'd say. It's just, I think it's just so comfortable compared to the Xbox 360 and the original Xbox controller. My main issue with the original Xbox controller was so big and clunky.
You're talking about the Duke, not the S controller, right?
Yeah. And, I don't know, the triggers for the Xbox One I just love. Like, especially with, like, racing games or, like, first-person shooters, the vibration and, like, the actual trigger itself, I loved it.
I forgot about that. And the triggers are very thick.
Yeah. Very
and that's
thick.
Not the other ones. Usually the other triggers on other controllers are like a pistol type, where it's just very, I don't want to say sharp, but very thin. Where this actually like contours to the outer ring of your finger, because you're bending your finger in to
grip
grip
a nice
it
curve
type of
on
thing.
it.
Yeah. So I think that's another bonus to it.
Exactly, yeah. That's probably my main reasoning right there. The triggers alone.
I totally forgot that they rumble too. That's just absent from my memory. Alright, so, number 2. I'm going to go way out there. It's like going from 2017 Xbox One controller all the way back to... Actually, I think it was 91, maybe 92. But I'm going with the Sega Genesis 6-button controller. Now, this was my favorite controller for over 20 years. Which is like older than both of you. That's fucking crazy. What I love about specifically the 6-button controller is I'm old, I grew up in the arcades, I grew up with fighting games, and fighting games have 6 buttons. Mortal Kombat only gets away with 5. Block is not a good reason to have a button, but I still love Mortal Kombat. But anyway, gotta have 6 buttons for those arcade games. And the Super Nintendo does have 6 buttons by itself, but it's 4 face buttons, 2 shoulder buttons, not the same. Having 3 face buttons on top of another set of 3 face buttons, that is controller bliss for me.
Can I add something onto that?
Go for it.
So, it's been a long time since I've owned a Sega console. Probably, over 10 years. My first console was actually the Sega Genesis. Going back to the 6 format buttons is really used, especially playing Shinobi on the Saturday. It's called Shinobi, right?
Shinobi Legions.
Yeah, just going back to it, I'm just like, holy... I'm not used to it. It's kind of weird, but I guess once you get used to it, it's fine.
Yeah, because modern controllers haven't stuck with that since the Saturn.
No, it's just going back to it's just really weird and different.
Where I'm for me, it's just perfect. It's every button. Like when you're playing Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, all of your buttons are where they're supposed to be. Where, like, if you don't have a 6-button Sega Genesis controller in Street Fighter, the start button switched your punches and your kicks. Where your 3 buttons were still light, medium, and fierce.
Okay.
That's fucking garbage. But with the 6-button controller, you don't have the best controller for fighting games. And another little notch I want to give to the 6-button Sega Genesis controller, it is my favorite D-pad by far. That thing is so fucking comfortable. Some people are like, oh, the Model 2 Saturn controller is god levels because it's just the 6-button with shoulder buttons. How is that not better? I'm like, the D-pad, man. The D-pad on the original 6-button controller for the Genesis is just that much better. Like, there's something that's... I don't know, it doesn't even make a click sound like arcades, but there's just something that clicks in my mind whenever I'm going, like, up or upright or right. I feel something in my head click with that controller, so I'm able to enter this whole other level of precision that I just can't do on a stock Genesis or a Super Nintendo controller. So those 2 factors alone, between the 6 buttons and the D-pad, are why that was my favorite controller for over 20 years. How are you going to follow that up with your number 2?
My number 2 is I'm going to shit on your fucking parade with the Xbox 360 controller.
Ooh.
I'm
You're
putting
shitting on
it
both
over...
of our parades. We both chose
Yeah.
Xbox One for 3.
I prefer the Xbox 360 controller over the Xbox One. I like the triggers better. I don't really like the Xbox One triggers. They're mushy. I just don't like the... I don't like
Coming
the...
from the GameCube guy.
I'm sorry. I just don't like... I just don't get that, like, they're really weak and, like, it just feels like they're not... They don't have... Like, it's just so easy to click on them, and I just don't like it. I really don't like the bumpers. You have to click them a certain way just to make them go off. Like, if you don't click them a certain way, they don't click. Other than that, the Xbox One controller is pretty good. Like, it's not like the worst controller ever, but there's reasons why I put the 360 controller over it. I keep going to the 360 controller to play my PC games that suck with the keyboard and mouse. What else? The Xbox One controller... 360 controller. I'm getting them mixed up. I'm getting them confused. Xbox 360 controller. I know the D-pad's shit, but really I don't use the D-pad for some certain games I play on my PC. Also, I like the thumbsticks. I feel like the Xbox One thumbsticks like grind into your thumb every time I play it. It's just... I don't find them comfortable. I just prefer the 360 thumbsticks.
Okay.
The Xbox One controller does like feel better in the hand, but I still just prefer the 360 controller, and I'll always prefer the 360 controller over the Xbox One controller.
I feel like you're strictly comparing the 360 controller to the Xbox One controller.
Well,
but how is the 360 controller in your mind better than, say, the Saturn controller, the Dreamcast, the N64, whatever isn't your first pick?
360. I've been using the 360 controller for a long period of time. Going back to like 2012 and stuff like that. With that generation of consoles, 360 controller was my main controller. So just getting used to it, just knowing that controller, I just still prefer it than any other controller that can...
That's not your number 1 pick.
No, it's not my number 1 pick. I categorize these controllers. My first category was kind of like the controller... How do I put this? So, 3 categories. Second one was the controller I use the most. Mm-hmm. I should have mentioned that first, sorry. So, the 360 controller is the one I use the most. GameCube controller is just like controller that great memories with, just with friends and stuff like that. So, yeah. And then the last one, I'll tell you when we get there. Okay.
So, Devon, what's better than the Xbox One controller?
Well, for me at least, I'm almost like making this decision strictly out of like nostalgia, dare I say? I guess I love the PS2 controller. There's the DualShock PS2 controller. It's just straightforward, simple. I think it's comfortable, fits in your hand nicely, and like you said, I don't know. I have great memories with the PS2 controller, in my opinion, but that's honestly like my reasoning for that, essentially.
It's
Nothing
just
like-
just the memories rather than the form function itself, the symmetrical design.
Yeah, it's just super symmetrical, straightforward. L1, L2, R1, R2. There's no touchpad on it, shit like that.
It's got pressure sensitive buttons too. Most people don't even
Yeah,
recognize that.
I will say though, I don't like the joysticks that much. That's my only complaint on it. The joysticks, like my thumb would always like slip off of it sometimes.
All right, so we're gonna move on to number 1 now. Like, I have fond memories of my Genesis controller, believe me. But the moment that I finally unboxed and just held the Wii U Pro controller, fuck, man. It was like letting a childhood friend go. It was like, I'm sorry, Sega Genesis. I feel good just holding the Wii U Pro controller. Do you have one around here? Just lying around here right now. Yes, there's one. I am now holding a Wii U Pro controller, and this is just fucking bliss. I love this. There's a couple reasons why I love it. One, man, it is just super ergonomically designed. This is just extremely comfortable. Second thing, I'm a big first-person shooter guy, not so much with Halo or Call of Duty, but still like Doom, Wolfenstein, all that kind of stuff. Anytime they're ported to anything else, I play them. So twin sticks are very important, and I've always wanted both sticks in the primary position. The Xbox controllers as a whole and the GameCube controller have the stick on the top left. Makes sense. It's where my thumb naturally goes. But the second stick was always down on the right side. It was not symmetrical. PlayStation controllers have always had both analogs and the downward, like at the bottom half of the controller. It's symmetrical, but it's not where I want them to be. I want them to be on the top half where my thumbs naturally go. This is the only official controller that gives me that experience, and that by default makes this my favorite.
It's kind of funny because the Wii U is not really known for its first person.
It's got 6 games that classify as a first-person shooter. 2 of them are Call of Duty, and I do not like Call of Duty. There's a terrible Walking Dead game, but like Deus Ex Mankind Divided, Wii U is easily the definitive version with the gamepad, but whenever I can, I'm using the Pro Controller for that. And that alone, and this thing has a 90-hour battery life. That is fucking insane and well beyond anything else.
So I'm guessing once you get an amazing rig, that's going to be your go-to controller?
Oh, absolutely. So I will be using X-Patter with almost every game, and this is going to be absolutely my go-to controller for everything, I think. The only problem that I have with this might be the fact that some people complain that the triggers are analog, they're digital instead of analog, which means they only have, they're registered, they're not registered. There's no dial to it.
Yeah.
But honestly, I personally don't care about that, because with racing games, I don't care about accelerating not the fastest. I want to accelerate the fastest. So just having that as an on, that fully works for me, because I'm not like an aficionado for the racing genre, so I don't really care about that type of sensitivity, especially when it's like, I like this for first-person shooters. I want to click and people die. That's it. But what's your number 1, or what is your category for this?
Innovation. That's
a hefty one there.
The reason I'm going to choose PlayStation controller.
The original or the DualShock?
They're both really similar. There's just the touch sensitive, right? So I'm going to kind
That
of...
was the DualShock 2.
Well, yeah, that's just the DualShock. The reason why is because 2 analog sticks. First controller to do that, unless if...
First controller did. You are correct.
Yes, first controller to do that. Just making sure. Because you'll be like pulling...
If you're wrong, I would correct you. It was the first.
Okay.
Keep going.
First controller to do that, groundbreaking at the time.
Groundbreaking.
Sorry.
Does it have a dedicated muffin button?
Yes, it does. It took stuff from the SNES controller, made it a bit bigger, added the handles and stuff like that. Also, it's really good for platformers. It's okay with first-person shooters. Like, I feel like this controller is good for everything. It doesn't lack... Like, there's not a genre that it sucks at. You could use this controller for anything. And that's why I feel it's really good. What was I about to say? Also, there's a lot of great memories with this controller. PS2 was my second system. Playing a lot of 3D platformers like Jak and Daxter, Ratchet and Clank, and stuff like that. So there's attachment to it. I felt like I didn't really get that much multiplayer out of the PS2. With the GameCube, there was more of family, like friends and family playing together with Nintendo games and stuff like that. PS2 was more of like a single experience type of system. So a lot of lonely days just playing by myself.
Just you and your controller.
Just me and my controller.
At least I have you DualShock 2.
Yeah. It's just like controller can play basically any type of game.
It is a nice jack of all trades controller.
Yeah, it is.
Sure.
That's what I'm trying to say. It's a nice jack of all trades. I just couldn't think of that word in my head. Yeah.
All right, Devon.
Yeah. All right.
Best controller ever. Go. You
In my
rule the
opinion-
world, and now there's a law that says everyone has to say this is the best controller. Go.
The SNES controller. I love it. It's just like, for me, I hate large clunky controllers. Right? This is just like small, compact. Fits. I love just how it feels in my hand. It's like nice and thin. No analog sticks or anything on it. It's like so primitive compared to the shit we have now.
Now, are you talking about like the SNES or
The
NES?
SNES.
SNES.
Super Nintendo.
With the bumpers for
Yeah, the bumpers.
Okay.
Just so many good memories with this controller. I remember I had like a fucking like a massive bin just like filled with these things, and no, I just love it. It's like I have probably the best memories with this controller and like the SNES in general. Just like playing Mario and whatnot with my friends. Yeah,
I can't even like fault that kind of choice. Super Nintendo is super important for its controller design.
Yeah,
The design for the Super Nintendo controller is what all modern controllers are based off.
basically, yeah. That's going back to the PlayStation controller. It basically still is.
It's just an upgraded Super Nintendo controller.
Yeah.
Looking at this Wii U Pro controller, my favorite, I can see a Super Nintendo controller with the D-pad being right across from the 4 face buttons, and there's 2 shoulder buttons. I could play Super Nintendo games no problem with this, because its exact core design is part of this controller. So I can't even like fault that.
yeah, that's my reasoning.
Okay.
All right, so that's it. Like we got her. That's it. We can move on to a different topic.